So, first of all, I just want to welcome everybody to the official book launch. I'm Joey Remenyi. I'm calling in from Wadawurrung country, which is roughly an hour and a half or 2 hours from Melbourne. It's a beautiful part of the world. It's the Surf Coast capital of Australia. So, we're surrounded by incredible beaches. And thankfully, we've been a very COVID safe area. So, I have been extremely blessed in this pandemic period to feel relatively safe. And so I suppose I want to first and foremost acknowledge the Wadawurrung people, who are the traditional custodians of the land here. They are of the Kulin Nation. They have been singing and dancing and sharing their stories for millennia, and I really, really cherish that culture. I'm born on Wadawurrung country. I choose to live on Wadawurrung country, and I celebrate their culture. And so I just want to kind of almost just take a breath to know that this land has nourished me, and this land has been a huge part of bringing this book to the world. And you'll notice when you open the book on the first page, I have written my acknowledgement of the land. And on that note, I want to also acknowledge the land that you're sitting on as a listener, and the traditional custodians and the history and ancestry of your land, which I think is so important and so beautiful, that we weave our ancestry, our history, and the ancient knowledge, which really is a huge part of healing. And it's a huge part of why I'm sitting here today, because it sure is not my university degree that got me writing that book. It's really the ancient wisdom I learned through my yoga journey and apprenticeship. And it's that piece of ancient wisdom that I had been using myself to support my own health and my own inquiry. That was what helped me see the holes in the mainstream system, and to see where patients were falling through, and where doctors couldn't catch them, and psychologists couldn't hold them, and physical therapists were confused and dumbfounded. And it's really this ancient ancestry that I think is going to be a huge part also of making the best of our planet, the planet that we're living on and sharing. So I really want to start from that place, because I think it's so important. Welcome, Steph. I'm so glad you could make it. Beautiful. So first of all, if you are on Facebook or on a computer, I believe I'm live streaming, if that's worked. Can anyone confirm that? No, maybe not. Let me have a look. Because if we are, I'd love you to share a watch party or just share the live call. That would be amazing. I think I've got to finish that here. All right, so this should pop up on Facebook soon. And if you see it, share it, because then more people can join it. Is that working? No, maybe not. All right, I have to let that be. All right, and then secondly, I just wanted to say thank you so much for supporting the pre-order. It's massive, and I'm sure Trina will speak to that. I've just been inundated with support and people getting so excited, and I'm talking like from Norway and Netherlands and Spain and UK and Ireland and Africa, North and South America, India, Hong Kong, New Zealand, Australasia. It's just been so beautiful to see people really embracing this book, and not only buying it for themselves to read, but buying clusters of them and really pollinating this out into the world, sharing it with their entire health team, support team. It's been just so beautiful, and I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed. And it's been years of me building this community and doing my best to create relationships and build trust, because there are so many people scamming out there at the moment. And it's like, well, who can we trust? And so I really feel like I just want to say thank you for trusting me. Thank you for giving my processes, methods, and my experiments a go. And it's just been amazing with the research. And I think Kate might talk a little bit on the importance of research in clinical therapies. I'm so pleased to see that the research is showing that this stuff really works. It doesn't matter your age, your gender, time since onset of symptoms. It doesn't matter your diagnosis. If you are engaged and committed to participating in neuroplasticity, we're seeing results. We're seeing statistically significant improvements. And in fact, as many as 50% of people are returning to normal. So this stuff really works. It's extremely exciting. So I would love to open it up to you, actually, Trina. Are you able to unmute yourself?
Yes.
So
Hi.
Trina, I'm just going to actually help pin you. Add pin. There we go. Trina is from Page 2 Publishing team. They have supported me as a first-time author. I was very naive. I didn't really understand half of the process, and Kayla in particular, the project manager, my project manager, really nurtured me through understanding and just gracefully and easily taking one step at a time. And it was a beautiful process. So thank you so much to the whole team, and thank you for being here to share the book launch, Trina.
Oh, Joey, it's really such an incredible honor. And maybe I'll just tell everybody on the call. So I was introduced to Joey in March. I think it was mid-March, actually, just as COVID was really, hitting the globe. And it was Hiro Boga, and a fellow Canadian and a wonderful business coach and mentor, who made the introduction. And I just remember our first conversation where Joey had a 6-week-old baby, and COVID was coming, and she wanted to publish this book within about 6 months. So she wanted to have it out as soon as possible to support her community. And if anyone else had suggested to me that they would want to move that quickly with a newborn and a pandemic coming, I might have thought, this will just never happen. But Joey was just so clear-eyed and so, just had this unbelievable sense of kind of grace and ease and just total conviction about this book and how to serve your community, Joey, that really impressed me. And I just, I was so amazed at the path you'd carved for yourself and for people suffering from tinnitus and vertigo, and the way that you really did, you told me all about the time you spent studying yoga and psychology, and then vestibular audiology, and how you merged all of these disciplines to make something very, very new and different. And when I think about what you've done, in my mind, I think of you as a real, a renegade in the best sense of the word, somebody who's really just carved your own path and pursued truth and research and evidence in the most, astonishing way, and built this world-class program that's been endorsed by, people from Stanford. And I think over the course of our work together over the last several months, what's really stood out for me is how totally committed to this community you are. And at every single point in our work together, Joey was thinking about the community, how it came up, and we were talking about, how you would engage with the design of the book, and how to create a book that would be comfortable and easeful for people suffering from tinnitus and vertigo. And you just knew exactly what everybody, what your readers would need. And it made the whole project just so effortless and enjoyable and wonderful. And you were a real collaborator, and we're just so proud to be your publisher. And then last week when the book launched, we looked at the pre-order numbers. They were in the thousands. And just for some context, often when a book launches, you might expect to see a few hundred pre-orders. Joey kind of blew normal expectations out of the water. And it's because of that commitment to service and the community, I think, that made that happen. So I just want to say, Joey, you're amazing. And we are really, really proud to have been your partner on this. And congratulations. You have so much to celebrate. And we're wishing you the very, very best.
Thank you so much. And there were moments when I felt for Jen, my amazing designer. I mean, look at the book. It's stunning. And I was really picky on what I wanted. And I'm like, you have to imagine you've got a migraine. Imagine reading a book with a migraine. Things need to be symmetrical. They need to be gentle on the eye, not cluttered, not complicated. Oh my God, I gave the designer this like huge list of things she could not do. And there was points, when we're like, do we label the, so I employed an illustrator to give these beautiful images with my intention being, I want people to fall in love with their body. I don't want this to be an anatomical lesson. So we made the decision to pull out the labels because the labels just looked so, they just didn't fit right. And so the poor designer's putting things in and pulling them out. And I'm like, nope, delete it, get rid of it. But the good news is all those labels are online in your online workbook. So there still is that educational component, but you can print it out. You can, make it larger for you. So it is easy to read. And so, yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. The page 2 team was incredible. This book would not be the quality it is without that collaboration. So Trina, thank you so much. I'm really glad you took me on as a random young mother with high ambitions.
I'm so glad we did.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. I'm sure it won't be the last time we meet. I've already got ideas of the next book.
Oh, fantastic.
Now I'm just going to unpin you there, Trina. And Steph, would you like to chime in now? I thought I might start with my Canadian friends. If you want to unmute yourself,
Yeah. Did I unmute?
Yeah. So Steph came in on the end of the project. Steph helped with the proofing, and which is a really big task. And what I loved about Steph, and why I said to Steph, you've got to be on my book launch call, is Steph, at the end of meeting, she's like, I'm sorry if I was yelling at the camera. I was so enthusiastic. And I was like, I loved your enthusiasm, because I don't know if any of you listening have ever written a book, but the end is really anxious. It's like, oh my God, my baby's about to birth into the world. People are going to read it. Oh, you get like the anxiety is higher. And Steph was like, your book's amazing. I don't have vertigo or tinnitus. I loved it. I'm using your exercises. This is for the general public. And I'm like, get on my book launch call and tell us how this book landed for you, because I'm hearing this from a lot more people. It's really surprising.
Yeah, but I mean, even in the book, you did mention some things like that were more general, but that can be related to vertigo and tinnitus. And it was things like anxiety and panic attacks and any feelings within the body that were just undesirable, which I mean is the whole gamut of any discomfort, any uncomfortable feelings. So it could be nausea, and I mean, so many of these things are related. So when I was reading it, I've had like anxiety and depression and also emetophobia. So like a fear of vomiting and vomit and people saying I don't feel well, and just all of these kinds of things that send me into this big spiral, and having not just invasive and obsessive thoughts, but also I start feeling nauseated and I start getting like elevated heart rate and hyperventilating and all of these things, which I can only control by using my brain. So I do have some medication, and that helps me at least function.
Yeah.
But I still have panic attacks and I still have nausea, which then starts to cause me to panic, like I'm gonna barf somewhere or something, right? Just yes. So it very similar to if you're having vertigo and feeling dizzy, some of those things, some of the symptoms are very much like panic attacks or are panic attacks. Instead of feeling nauseous, you feel, or nauseated, you feel disoriented, you begin to feel detached, lights start to get brighter, your head might start, like it's all very similar. And in all ways, it's feelings that I don't want to have and that are uncomfortable and I need to get rid of.
That's the common
denominator. For the most, what's that?
That's the common denominator. If there's anything inside of us that we don't want to feel, hear, or sense, that's a neural pathway that's kind of getting a little too much priority. And then we need to learn how to deprioritize it, because the healing process is really the same. It doesn't matter what the trigger is or what the sensation.
That's right. But for the most part, what we get is CBT and, thought records and saying things like, what is the worst that could happen? And, you're really talking yourself down all the time. So say you're feeling super dizzy and you don't feel good and you're about to faint or throw up, or you're not sure. Or you've got this ringing in your ears that is so distracting that it's just making everything awful. Or, you've got a panic attack that is so strong that when people talk to you, you're not responsive. So suddenly sitting down to write a thought record or trying to remember your CBT or whatever is a little more demanding to me than going, okay, I'm perpetuating this because my neural pathways are used to, like when somebody explained to me, when you leave, if you're panicking and you escape, that makes the next panic attack worse. I never understood that. But when you explained why I would make it worse, which is that I was constantly reinforcing those neural pathways, I got it. So I was like, on a very basic level, I just need to distract myself with anything, with the chapstick that is by the cash register, with whatever. And if I'm a little more functioning, I can focus on how I want to feel. How do I want to feel? How do I want to feel? How do I want to feel? And just, I don't know what it was, whether it was your format or your words or your empathy and compassion or the repetition isn't the right word, but the constant reassurance that this does work and that this is just somehow just spoke to me right. Like it just made more sense. And so I started immediately. Every time I would be aware, I would be conscious. I'd be like, I know what's happening right now. I can try to form some new neural pathways, and oh my God, I can start thinking differently. But when I heard all this before, it was in language like The Secret or something other, like just think differently. And that I always just was like, that's very easy to say, but it's not easy to do.
Yeah.
But
and
somehow,
I really hope this book helps people get the why no one else can do it for us and how we can implement it for ourselves, and to really close that gap and make it. And it's also, we don't have to rush, because as the research suggests, you can have 30 years of symptoms and still reverse it. So even if you don't feel ready to read my book yet or implement it, just having it on the shelf and knowing it's there and you read it when you feel ready in a year or 2 or 4 or whatever, it's still effective. And I think that's just so comforting to know that there's no rush, and it's
no.
okay.
And it can happen really fast. Like I've had years and years of resistance I found that even though you're talking about neural pathways and neuroplasticity and things that might make people just shut off completely when they hear those words, that didn't happen for me, because it was still explained in a very simple, it wasn't too scientific or too brainy or too whatever, it was for the lay person.
Yeah. I actually had
your compassion and empathy, like you said, this would not have happened with the quality of work we put out, but you were keeping us to that standard. So really, it was a great deal to do with you keeping page 2 on the same page.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And like I actually said to the first editor, Tillman, who I loved, he was amazing. He was so gentle with me, because the first manuscript's always a bit of a blah, But I said to him, I'm a yoga teacher. There is deliberate repetition in this book. We call it mantra. We want people to get the message and get it again and get it again. And I think Catherine mentioned, who'll speak a little later, that it's really nice to have the repetition and to help it come in different ways, which again fires new neural pathways with that repetition. Anyway, Steph, thank you so much for your time on the call.
Thank you.
for being a part of this team. Thank you for being enthusiastic. You really gave me the boost I needed when it was getting to the pinchy, pointy end of launch. And I loved that you were yelling at the computer. That made that work meeting so much more enjoyable. So thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
My pleasure.
It's changed my life. Literally, it really has. Like,
Aw.
you know, when people say that, I'm always dubious, but it's there now. I can't unknow that. So
Yeah, it's powerful. It's really powerful.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to remove your pin. And thanks again, Steph.
Thank you.
Catherine, I might go to you. Are you happy to chime in? Catherine's calling in from the US. And many of you may recognize Catherine from interviews on healing and recovery from tinnitus. She's also a mother of young children, busy, multitasking, and she took on the epic task of reading an advanced copy of my book for the purpose of joining the book launch call. So thank you for your time, Catherine. And fire away, what short, sharp statement, what did you get out of the book? I know we could talk forever.
I could talk forever, so I wrote down my thoughts so that I could keep it within the time frame. But your book is the book that I wish was handed to me by the first ENT I went to, or maybe the second ENT, or the audiologist I saw, or the physical therapist I saw, or the other physical therapist. Like, I went everywhere and looking for answers outside of myself. And this book it doesn't have the answers to my healing in it, but it shows me that I have the power to heal. And it's amazing. So one thing that you said was yoga did not necessarily heal me, but rather it gave me the skills of self-observation, self-compassion, and non-judgment. Yoga instilled in me the belief that I could change my body and I could change my mind if I was committed to it. And that's what this book did for me. I'm like so grateful that you've added like this to the world, another layer of healing to the world, in addition to your Facebook group and the 7-day program and the Rocksteady and all of it, like, and the workbook that comes with the book, like all of this together, it's everything that you would or could need for any ailment or, you know, thing that you don't like in your life. You provide, I love that you provide thorough explanations about the brain and the inner ear without getting into the medical like jargon, but you explain it thoroughly. I love that you make it relatable, like, to your life. So we know that you have been through this. It's comforting to know that you didn't just study it in school, which is amazing, but you also went through it. And like that comes through the book and is also comforting. In addition to the case studies and reading those and knowing that, like, you know, I'm not alone. And here are other concrete examples of people and their journey, and they have healed, so I can heal. And healing is it's just a constant thing in life. And I could use this book for anything else that comes up in my life later on. I like the chapter summaries. That is so helpful when, you know, you're reading and then you get to the end and you're like, okay, here are the key points about what that chapter was about, and it reiterates and like just sinks it into your brain a little bit more. Or if you want to pick up the book really quickly and flip to it when you don't have a lot of time, and you can remind yourself of what you need to hear in that moment. The home practice exercises that you have in it are so helpful. I mean, I feel like this book is Rocksteady, like your program, in a book, and it's accessible to everybody. And it's generous of you to write this book. And you have a new baby, and you know, have Rocksteady and the Facebook group and everything. And I don't know how you do everything that you do, but I feel like it's so generous of you to take the time to write this book and put it out into the world for everybody to read.
Thank you so much.
And yeah,
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Because this is the question everybody asks, right? And
Yeah.
it's the annoying question, but it's the question that we have to ask. Does Rocksteady work for tinnitus?
It works for tinnitus. So the moment that and it sounds cheesy, but it's not. The moment that I turned all of this like outward searching and like grasping for answers everywhere else, that panic and that anxiety, the moment I said, like, I'm okay the way I am and I love myself, it brought tears to my eyes and the tinnitus faded away.
I know, right? I've had that too. It's the way the brain chemistry changes when we shift into that new emotional space.
Yes, and it's such an easier way to live. Just like, I'm not saying it didn't come back. Like now I know my triggers. I know like, oh, hey, there you are again. I know myself better. And I know that it's no big deal that it comes back. I used to be so scared of it, but now it's just a part of me. And the book, I don't know. I'm just so thankful for everything that you have put out into the world, and it has changed my life.
We cover all of this in the book, the no big deal, the self-study, the going within, the emotional regulation. These are all little tricks and pieces of changing the brain, rewiring the brain. And I don't hear my tinnitus at all anymore. And many people have full resolution. And then, as Catherine says, when things happen in life, it can come and go, but the sensations pass with no big deal. They no longer form symptom loops. So we can move through it without getting hooked into it. Thank you so much for your time, Catherine. Mm-hmm. I'm really pleased that you like the online workbook too. I had a lot of fun making that.
I'm like, wow, you didn't need to include this, but you did, and that's amazing. Like, it's a bonus, a huge bonus.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm gonna remove your pin. And Kate Blaine, you're in our workbook. So I'm going to add pin, and you can unmute yourself, Kate. Kate is a colleague of mine, another neuroplasticity therapist. She's been a mentor for me. She is a PhD who is just really passionate about research and the importance of making sure that those academic jargony people listen to us. You know, it has to be more than just heartfelt therapy. We've got to break out and be published and be seen. And yeah, Kate's been an amazing mentor. And like we jam together, our connections through music, funnily enough. And Kate would come to music sessions with like a sheet of paper that says, this is how you write a research paper, Joey, just letting you know. These little gentle nudges. So yeah, Kate, thank you so much. And if you could speak briefly on the importance of research and what I've popped in the back of the book, I think that would be great to hear from you. So yes, welcome to the call.
Thanks very much, Joey. With pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak at your book launch, Joey, of this most important new book, Rocksteady, Healing Vertigo or Tinnitus with Neuroplasticity. And I'd particularly like to acknowledge the research that you've undertaken through the completion of your Rocksteady program with 439 participants between October 2018 and January 2020. So 146 participants from 18 years of age to 74 years of age, or a cohort of 33% of the participants in your program over that time consented to complete a symptom score, which they recorded before beginning the program and then on completing all of the 6 modules of the Rocksteady program. And results indicated a statistically significant improvement in the 3 most prevalent areas of symptom studies. And these symptom scores represented the 3 areas of life that are most impacted by the symptoms of vertigo and tinnitus. So firstly, emotional, such as anxiety and depression. Secondly, functional, such as the ability to be at home alone. And thirdly, positional, This is things like bending over or head turning. And in addition, these improvements in symptoms recorded were made irrespective of age and gender, and irrespective of the time since the onset of the symptoms. So, for example, 82% of the participants in the study had symptoms for more than 6 months. 40% had symptoms for more than 3 years. And quite a number of participants had symptoms for over 10 years. Symptom improvement was also irrespective of the particular differential diagnosis associated with tinnitus and vertigo. Joey's persistent and holistic messages of hope, compassion, self-kindness, and joy throughout the book do indeed provide us as readers and participants in the Rocksteady program, and I'm going to quote here from one of the book's reviewers, with a truly heart-centered approach to science. Thank you, Joey, so much for this most important contribution to health and well-being.
Yeah, thank you, Kate. And my older brother is also a PhD, actually. He studies climate science. He deals with big numbers. And he says in medicine, you know, you're often lucky to get 20 or 30 participants who commit. You know, there's always lots of follow-up, and it's really hard to get that data and get really good quality research data. And so when I said to my brother, I've tracked over 140 people, he's like, that is awesome. Those numbers are so high. And all I can say is I want to keep collecting data. I would love to get thousands of people who consent to being followed through this process. So we have really a strong message to send the medical world that for people who need numbers, I want to give them those numbers. So I just want to take a moment to thank every single person who's filled in a questionnaire and who's committed to the 6 modules, who's paced themselves, and who's completed all 6 modules. And even if it took you 2 years, you went ahead and did that progress questionnaire, because we're following it, we're tracking it, and even though you're contributing anonymously, it really does help. So I just want to give a shout out to everybody who's participating and consenting. I really appreciate it. And also future vertigo and tinnitus and vestibular disorder sufferers appreciate you, because you're helping make the world a different place for them 10 years from now. So thanks again, Kate, for mentoring me and just being so encouraging. I'm going to remove your pen. And Diane, I might shift over to the UK. Do you feel like you want to say a few words? You can unmute yourself. I'll just start by introducing Diane as one of our fabulous moderators in the Facebook group. We make a really large effort to keep our Facebook group a sacred place where people can be witnessed without judgment, with kindness, where the conversation is really focused on healing and moving through challenges. It's not a place for symptom banter. It's not a place for blaming. It's not a place for advice giving or asking. There is just no room for the victim in our Facebook group. People show up as their whole self, and they declare to the world how they're healing. And it's so special, and it is such an important part of the Rocksteady process. And one of your little guardian angels is Diane. She is helping moderate that group and make sure any inappropriate spam is deleted and removed. So thank you so much on behalf of everyone, Diane. And
Pleasure.
Just love to hear how the book landed for you and what you got out of it.
Wow. Where do I start? It has been amazing. It's such a journey. I mean, it was back in 2016 that I had vestibular migraine and 3PD. And they were really dark days then. And then I found you and your Rocksteady program, and it was an absolute light. It really was. It was a revelation and a lifesaver. And you've put it all in the book to share with everybody. So that is just amazing. One of my most memorable moments, I think, for me was with the start of the program, and also when I read about it more in the book, was when I first did the body scan. And after many, many visits to ENT to do vestibular rehab therapy, trying to do those exercises, feeling worse, feeling sick and bad, and then I did this body scan, And it was amazing. And I can actually still remember that first day thinking, oh, what's this going to be like? And I was so relaxed and so calm. And about 10, 15 minutes afterwards, all my not quite right sensations had gone. So I was hook, line, and sinker at that point. And that was just the beginning, obviously. So I've got a favourite part in the book, which actually really endorses those feelings that I had then. And it's on page 155. And it was about steadiness. Can I read you a bit of it?
Yeah, please do, in your lovely accent.
So it says, steadiness is an antidote to the dizzy sensation. Practice utilizing your touch system so that you can literally feel your steadiness and safety in your own skin. Acknowledge the dizziness signals in the background of your mind and allow them to dissolve out of your awareness. When we remove our focus from the dizziness, it becomes less important and has less neural firing. You probably know this off by heart. Reinstate your attention, brain flow and focus towards your hidden physical and emotional sensations and steadiness. You can do this by shifting your focus to feel it in your skin. And this is the best part for me. Your steadiness is already there beside the dizzy signals. You don't need to work hard for it, but you do need to find it and feel it.
Yeah.
Now, that says it all. It's just wonderful. And the book just complements everything you've done previously so well. And there's even more detail in there. And it, like you said earlier, it's something very tactile about having a book, isn't it? And reading it for me is just brilliant. Just having it by the bed, you know. So I want everybody to spread the word, so that to everybody, to doctors, ENTs, vestibular audiologists, neurologists, any ologist out there.
And actually also to your yoga teachers, to your Pilates teachers, to your personal trainers. These are people who need to understand how you're going to be working with your body now and need a little bit of guidance, because a lot of the body scan is based on Tadasana, Sukhasana, and Shavasana, which are body scanning, standing, sitting, or lying. However, yoga teachers can often get a little bit over-focused on how the perfection performance of that could be. Whereas we're shifting it into a self-study and a self-inquiry of really bringing that compassion and kindness into noticing and sensing, opening up and allowing. And it's shifting the yoga asana practice actually into more of a pratyahara and svadhyaya practice. And I think if we were to share this book with our yoga teacher, that would be an amazing resource to help the yoga teacher support us in that vein of practice. So it is available on Amazon. There's a few people typing into the chat box. It's available pretty much anywhere that you want to buy a book. So look online. And if you are in a really obscure country, I've had a few people in South Africa and all sorts of far out places. It is uploading, like as we speak, to more and more of your local online book retailers. However, you can also go to Book Depository where there's free international shipping. You don't have to spend exorbitant amounts of money, like $100 on a book. It should be closer to the $30 mark. And it actually retails at $18 US. So if anyone's charging you too much, don't keep looking. There'll be other places to buy it online at a better price. So yes, it's available. Go and grab it. Buy as many copies as you can afford and give them out to your support team. As Diane said, this is an educational process, not only for you and your body, but for you and your support team. And it does take a team to heal.
It does, yeah. And thank you for all your tireless energy and love and support through all this.
My absolute pleasure.
And for everybody for being part of it, because it's just exploded, hasn't it? It's just fabulous.
Yeah, beautiful. I'm gonna unpin you. Thank you so much. I'll be seeing lots more of you in the Facebook group, Diane. Thanks again.
No problem.
And I'm gonna move it over to you now, Elizabeth. There you are. I'm just gonna pin you. And so I just wanted to add in, so Elizabeth is another one of our famous Facebook moderators. Anybody in our Facebook group will know this woman because she's all over it and posting these pictures and photos. You can unmute yourself too, Elizabeth. And Elizabeth has great sass and great attitude, and she'll do
Stop.
she'll do photos of her, like, you know, water skiing and floating down a river in like a blow up device and all these things.
You remember that? Isn't that
That
great?
Disney people hate. Elizabeth's like, look at me go now. I've healed. See you later. So just great sass, so encouraging, so supportive. She's a massive cheerleader for me. Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Joy. You're gonna make me cry.
I know, totally right.
Literally, no joke here. I couldn't be more grateful to you when all this happened myself back 3 years ago in 2017 as well. I mean, 3 months searching and Googling, and you know how scary that is. Like you said before, there's so much fraud out there and so many lies. And one day just ran into one of your podcasts and then case studies, and that really got me. That really got me. Listening to that made a big difference. I just wanted to hear it because that's what people do when they're afraid and they want something. I used to call it cure. You're like, no, you can't cure anything. You can heal from it. And I loved it. And that's one part of the book that I like, that you don't put the whole case studies, but most of those are there and people can read them and they're true, they're real. You know, it's important, true feeling.
Can you speak to this? Because I shared your journey and I know a little bit about your journey. Can you speak to people who are like, it's not working for me. I've been at this for 3 months. I still can't feel my neural pathways. I don't get it. I feel like for you, it was about a 4-month journey and then something clicked. Can you speak about that kind of confusing learning space?
Yeah. So for me, it was, I loved you, obviously. You know, I knew that I was doing something right when I heard your voice. Your voice did it for me. That was it too. But still in the back of my head, I kept saying, nope, there's something else. I got to cure myself. I got to keep finding stuff until one day, luckily we had those one-on-ones and you said, no, you are the expert in you. You have to find this. And one thing that you wrote in the book, which I go by every day, is stop fighting. Listen within. Yes, exactly. And stop fighting and rejecting what you feel. That was the worst part of my life growing up as well. Horrible. I started leaning in. You taught me how to lean in. I didn't know that. Really, I thought I did. Didn't know it until you showed us.
People don't need one-on-ones with me anymore because this is literally all covered in the book. It's because people like Elizabeth that I was able to write the book, because it took 10 years for me to get all the information I needed to know what to put into the book. And so thank you, Elizabeth.
Yeah, Stephanie, by the way, couldn't have said it any better. I liked listening to her. She's kind of perky as well. I loved it. Your book really says it all. It's amazing. And I'm so glad I completed your program as well. I wanted to share that I still live with tinnitus and vertigo and PPPD, but it's with me and it doesn't bother me. I actually like it. I ask it what it needs. It's a part of me. Like you said, it comes with me. I don't try to get rid of it. I don't know. You're going to make me cry. I love it. You saved my life. You really did. It was so, so bad. I was in also a dark place, in a dark hole, and I didn't think I was going to come out of it.
And I have to say, as a therapist, it's one of those things where it's like, well, if this person goes into that dark hole and doesn't believe in themselves, and if Elizabeth didn't turn that corner and have that moment of realization of, wow, okay, I really want Joey to fix me, but actually Joey can't move my neurons. It's not physically, scientifically possible. I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to explore this. I'm going to have to support my inner child. I'm going to have to go into that vulnerable place and work my way up.
And I was always so afraid to do that.
Yeah. Well,
to go deep in. I didn't want to. I think I was trying to hide it.
Yeah.
There was something there and
totally.
made me come out of it.
Yeah. And that's really
it's
normal.
True.
That's a normal coping mechanism. And a lot of people reading the book will go through those stages of being like, gosh, can't somebody else or some scientific device or something do it for me? And that's all normal resistance. But moving through that resistance and coming to this place of, okay, I think it's in me. the power's in me. My brain and body can communicate differently. I have to guide those neural messages. That's when we start to really see results.
Yeah.
And so I suppose I just want to say, read the book a few times if you're listening to this and you're feeling a bit lost and confused. Join the Facebook group. You'll have lots of support, not only from Diane and Elizabeth. I chime in there. Catherine's in the group. Julie's in the group, who we're going to hear from next. It's an amazing, supportive. It's about 4,000 people in our group at the moment, and I just want to say, stick with it. I think it is like learning the piano, and sometimes we have resistance to sit down and actually like play the tune and put our fingers down and ask questions and be engaged and be really responsible for our learning. It's no different, and the stakes are so much higher when it comes back to living a normal life. And as Elizabeth said, the PPD, dizziness sensations are in the normal population. There's a scientific study that showed that so many people out there right now catching trains, walking down the street, they have PPD sensations, and they don't abnormalize it. They just know that they are sensations in their body, in their mind, in their head at that moment. Maybe anyway, so the sensations that we experience are actually part of a normal existence. It's about our psychological relationship to them and whether or not we resist them, fight them, and emotionally prioritize them, or whether we allow them to dissolve in the background. We bring them with us in life and we focus on what we want to feel, which is a huge part of the therapy. And you get all of that explained step by step in the book.
Before we finish, I think I realized with you that I didn't realize ever that there's no wrong or right. I always thought there was a wrong or right. There is no wrong or right. Yeah. I mean, there just isn't, and by learning that and accepting that, I just want to tell whoever's listening, you can do things with your sensations. It doesn't matter. It's not going to harm you, Once you get clearance, medical clearance, then you're good. I have them. Sure, who doesn't have them? Sometimes I don't even feel them or hear them, but I also use this program and the knowledge that I got from you for my heart condition. I have a heart condition, I have arrhythmias, and they are so debilitating sometimes, but I use that neuroplasticity for it, and I'm okay with it. As long as my cardiologist says I'm not going to die, you're okay, I've been clear. But I have to live with it. It's another sensation in my body, and you learn that it's okay.
And we have to remind ourselves, with no sensations, we're dead. Like, sensations are part of interacting with our world. And this whole right, wrong, good, bad, abnormal, normal, it's kind of all murky. Like, every sensation just is what it is in that moment. Every sensation is a neural pathway communicating. Every sensation is a sign we're alive, and we can totally reframe how we relate to these sensations. And yes, there's an entire chapter on medical clearance, the importance of that, how to go about it, and also some of the pitfalls and traps in the goose chase. So the middle of the book gets a bit chunky on some of that investigation stuff, but I think that'll be really useful for many of you reading the book. Thank you so much for your time, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much. I wish I could say so much more. I'm kind of choked up right now because, I am so grateful.
Yeah.
I always cry thinking about you. You did save my life.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I guess I saved my own life too. It's life-changing stuff.
You did. You saved my life. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm so proud of you. Congratulations. I'm always here for you.
Back at you. Yeah, we'll see you in the Facebook group.
You got it.
Julie, welcome. We're morning time, so I gave Julie a little bit of time to
to wake up.
Welcome. Thank you so much for reading an advanced copy of the book, and I would just love to hear from you, whatever you have to share on your Rocksteady journey in the book.
Elizabeth's comments really resonate with me because I'd had my vertigo for over 10 years before I found Joey, and I'd gone through it okay. I hadn't. I'd gone through some shocking bits and some better bits, and then I'd kind of relapsed into bad, panic and anxiety. I was 10 or 12 years down the track, and I did all the usual Googling and somehow found Joey. I don't even remember now. And I just looked back. My first email from you, Joey, was in January of 2018. And like everybody else who's done any element of your program, it has absolutely changed my life for the better. But it was, I think, Joey's voice, because I did the Rocksteady program quite I think in its earlier phases, and just the reassurance that Joey brings, the way that she leads us through so gently. I was very not tuned into my body at all. I live in my brain. I read, I think, I watch, I, have opinions. Everything here was happening here, and I just assumed the rest would work. And having to learn more about the inner me, the rest of me, has been really interesting. And I think that the book, for someone like me, I think the book is going to be a fantastic resource for when you've gone through all the rational stuff that you think you need to do. You've seen the physio and the audiologist and the doctors and you've gone through it all, and you realise that not everything can be fixed in a classical way. I think the program and the book for me came at the right time, when I was receptive to it, when I was ready to look beyond the point where I wanted other people to fix me. I was ready then to understand that I needed and had the power to fix myself. I'm really looking for, I haven't got a copy of the book yet. I've read the advanced one, but I haven't got a physical copy yet. I'm really looking forward to it, because I often want to look at a certain element of the program, and then I have to remember whereabouts in the website it is and do all those sorts of things. I'm really loving the idea of picking the book up and having it there as an actual physical resource to complement everything else that I've done. And there'll be some people who will only have the book, and that will be amazing, because it's got, I think it was Catherine who talked about the chapter summaries, which I thought were really fantastic. The exercises, I can carry it with me when I travel, instead of thinking, I don't need pills or any of that. I just need the book. Just as that reminder, sometimes I get caught up and I forget that I will feel better if I do a body scan, or I'll feel better if I'll do healing hands, or I'll feel better if I just sit and just explore.
It's so
I think just having it there as that really great go-to, I'm really looking forward to that. So, and I cannot, like everyone else here, I cannot believe what Joey's done. I couldn't believe that I found her and she lives like 20 minutes away. I have never met Joey in person.
We have, haven't we?
No. I don't think we have met in person.
I feel like we have.
Maybe we have.
We'll have to get
Maybe
a coffee. We'll have to get a coffee one day. I'll come over.
Okay, that would be great. And I am just so, there's something amazing, because Joey made such a difference to my life. It's been absolutely fantastic over the last almost 3 years, watching all the other people that she's made a difference to. So through the Facebook group, seeing new people come on all the time, and many of us oldies are still there, and watching people get it and feel that it makes a difference. We all know that feeling. We all know this is the one person who understood me and helped me climb out of that hole. So, Joey, you've done an amazing job. The book is just a fantastic complement to everything else you've done. And
I do think I think it is a standalone resource, and I'm sure many people out there who have questions, they're confused, they're muddled. It's not like it's annoying, it's really annoying, but it's not kind of ruining their lives. The book will be more than enough to get them right back on track and to build that new normal, which is the title of chapter 10. It's all about building a new normal, become a new, better version of you, because you can. It's not about going backwards. It's not about miracles. It's not about hoaxes and pills and devices and having false blind faith in something. It's about experientially feeling what neural pathways you're firing, what neural pathways you're choosing to focus on. It's about crafting who you want to be. For people who are listening to this who may have more chronic and complex conditions, you may decide to not only read the book but have the full community and the full online experience, because that will help hold you in that vortex of healing where you will have more support, more structure, more resources. And I actually love it that I have some of my older clients who are supporting the new clients coming through. And as Julie said, we see people's posts and they have these aha moments and they're like, oh my God, I just got it. And it's so beautiful. We love witnessing those realizations for you. We love it when you share your healing realizations and insights. And actually, from a neuroplasticity therapy point of view, the more you can consciously witness that healing in yourself and the changing of your neural systems, you can feel that and then articulate it and share it. That is, again, another neural pathway of expression. And instead of it just being up here and I think I'm more steady, I think I can't hear my tinnitus, I think I'm good right now. Instead of it being an inquiry up here, we actually move it out into the world. We share it with people. And through that witnessing, we strengthen that almost declaration and it becomes more real. So being in the Facebook group, which is free for anyone to join actually, is a really useful part of complementing the inner healing journey and knowing yourself. And if I remember correctly, Julie, I think, there was a bit of skepticism you had to move through and a bit of shyness and a bit of anxiety. Like, you are a different woman. And so is Elizabeth. You are a different woman, like I have this, and I relate to that too. I talk about it in the book. I was really anxious at points too.
Absolutely. And, I'm a very kind of, as I said before, this kind of rational person. And it took me quite a lot to make that next step. But Joey was very patient and gentle. And the Rocksteady program, like the 7-day program, changed my life, I thought. And then I did the Rocksteady program. That really changed my life. And now reading the book, I'm
it's like a friend.
I have an awareness of different things. And Joey's, for someone who I have BPPV, Joey's little video of how to do the Eppley technique has been life-changing for me, because my husband and I, every time I get it, we quickly do a re-watch of the video, and then he'll help me do the thing, and then I feel fabulous afterwards. And for me, amongst anything else, just Joey showing me that I can do that myself and not feel I have to be within 10 minutes of a physio at every moment in life, has been life-changing too. So I'm sure there are similar resources that everybody finds, because it's so rich, the program, with support.
Yeah. And for people listening, BPPV is the most common form of vertigo. It comes and goes like a pimple. It's intermittent, it's episodic. It can happen any day of your life. So you actually need skills to know how to test it, how to treat it, and how to heal it, because all of that can happen literally in less than 24 hours. So these are not things you have to live with for the rest of your life. They're things you can address, acknowledge, and move through with evidence-based tools and resources. And it is covered in the book, and anything that is not in the scope of the book will be available online. So the education's there. Thank you so much, Julie. Thank you for reading the advanced copy of the book. I know it's not easy doing that online, and thank you. Thanks for your time.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, this should arrive any day now. I can't believe you don't have it yet.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to. I'm just going to remove your pen. I want to end this call just by saying thank you so much. I want to thank the entire team at Page 2, all of the editors, the design people, Emily and Vivian for their incredible artwork. I just had so much fun working, exploring the art, finding the art, and that they agreed to be a part of the book was just amazing. Thank you to Hero Boga and to Mandy, my Canadian support. Mandy's the living, breathing heartbeat of all admin at Seeking Balance HQ. She's incredible. Hero was the gentle person who tapped me on the shoulder 2 or 3 years ago and was like, your next step's writing a book. It was probably 2 years ago, feels ages ago. And so I wrote a book, as you do. And I loved writing the book. It was great to feel that I had that really gentle support and encouragement. And I just wanted to finish off by saying I was really angry at myself when I was sick and had vertigo and tinnitus. And I knew that the system was failing patients. Like, people were falling through the cracks. No one was able to help them retrain and reshape their brains. And I was really angry at the system. And then I realized, Joey, you're the vestibular audiologist with psychology training, with cognitive behavior therapy, with acceptance commitment therapy, with neuroscience, with this incredible yoga experiential neuroplasticity background. You're the one who has to do this. And I knew I had to write this book. I knew 10 years ago I had to write this book, and it's taken me all this time to gather the resources and get the data, the research, and also just the clarity of mind. So I was less clumsy with how I broach this incredibly broad topic. It's a complicated topic. It's a multidisciplinary topic, and it took me 10 years to really get my head around it. So I'm proud of myself, and I think that's how I'm going to end this book launch call. I'm an author and I wrote a book. Wow.
Hey.
Hey.
Thank you for all the flowers that have been delivered. I am just like surrounded by an abundance of beauty. My parents are going to arrive soon. I have no doubt my dad will be popping champagne because he's European and he takes any chance to have a champagne breakfast. We're going to have croissants. I've got my beautiful 9-month-old baby out there who's been so patient. I want to thank my family. I want to thank my husband for supporting me and taking care of Julian in all those moments when I'm like, my brain's exploding. He's eating the bookcase. He's now eating electrical equipment, and I need to do this edit. Who else do I need to thank? I need to thank every single person in the Rocksteady community who has shared their story with me, who has shared their suffering with me, who has shared their intimate inner child traumas. And sometimes these are really difficult, dark memories. I want to thank you for trusting me, and I hold your stories with deep reverence. I hear you, I feel you, I see you. I completely believe in your wholeness, and I know that there is nothing wrong with you. You are so normal. You are so healed. And I really hope that by reading this book, you believe that and you see that like I see that in you. It's a little bit almost of a misleading title because we don't have to heal. We're already healed. It's about recognizing what we do with that neural data that's already existing in our body. Like Diane said, the steadiness was always there. The quiet and inner peace was always there. We just didn't necessarily know how to access it and fire it and stimulate it and get that neural synchrony. Oh, so it's with so much love I'm going to end this call. Thank you so much to everybody who's attended live. Thank you to just keep all the reviews coming. Thank you for reviewing my book. It's already starting. I know there's a bit of a delay on US Amazon, but keep your reviews coming, submit them. Every review helps more people who are suffering to learn about the book, to trust the process, to get the book, to join the community. When you buy the book, when you gift the book, when you review the book, you are making the world a different place. You are making this a different place for people suffering with vestibular disorders, because the message they're generally getting is nothing I can do, go live with it. We want that message to change to log online and get this book. You can change this. You can change your brain. Get a resource, get education, get support. There is a lot of hope. There's a lot of light. This is all reversible. When you review this book, when you buy this book, you actually help spread that message. And I want this message to just explode through the Americas, through Europe, through Asia, through Australasia, Africa. This is a global message because people are suffering globally. And that's the tragedy. So you guys are all part of the solution. Thank you so much for being here. I value you. I love you, I appreciate you, and I wrote this book for you. So I'm going to sign off now. Thank you to all my beautiful panelists for your time.